April 24th. We're on pages 50 and 51. It's the book club article. It's day 2, so let's learn about our author. Our story today is called The Last Will and Testament of an Extremely Distinguished Dog.
没错，我们要继续介绍我们昨天介绍的这本好书，就是呢《一只狗的遗嘱》。我们昨天简单的介绍了一下它的作者这个 Eugene O'Neill， 他为什么要去创作这样的作品？他是要跟他的这个大麦町的狗狗 Blammy 告别，以狗狗的视角来写，非常非常多的，它里面包含了幽默，然后也包含了这种关怀，然后会告诉主人说不用担心，你在我走之后，你要记得再养一只狗哦，我不用为我难过，因为这段时间里头我过得非常非常好，很珍惜这样的时光。那我们今天主要去介绍这个作者他的背景。
All right, let's get you just even retelling the story makes me sad.
Oh yeah.
Right, let's go to paragraph 1 after our story.
The Last Will and Testament of an Extremely Distinguished Dog. Eugene O'Neill was one of the most famous playwrights of the 20th century. He spent most of his early years traveling with his father, who was a stage actor. At age 7, he was sent to boarding school, away from his family. He was later admitted to Princeton University, but dropped out before finishing his first year. After that, O'Neill started what he called his real education through life experience. The following years nearly cost him his life. O'Neill became addicted to alcohol during his travels around the world by sea, and later contracted tuberculosis. When he recovered, O'Neill decided to turn over a new leaf and started writing plays. Although his first efforts weren't well received, he kept improving and finally reached an extraordinary level of success. O'Neill's writings were often inspired by his own difficult experiences. He was also influenced by ancient Greek tragedies and several European playwrights. Not only did O'Neill become the first American playwright to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, but he also won 4 Pulitzer Prizes for drama and 1 Tony Award for Best Play. Celebrated as one of the greatest American playwrights, O'Neill continues to touch audiences' hearts with his work today.
All right, friends, here we are. Let's jump right into paragraph 1 and talk about Eugene O'Neill. He has a sad life, but I feel it's not as sad as your dying dog. So this should be a little easier for me today. Eugene O'Neill was one of the most famous playwrights of the 20th century. This guy is super famous if you like American plays.
没错，所以在这边的话，我们看第一段的第一句话，他说 Eugene O'Neill was one of the most famous playwrights of the 20th century. 这边的话，记得这个 playwrights 这个字的意思就是指剧作家。如果你对于美国的这个戏剧史有兴趣的话，相信你一定会知道这号人物，他有非常非常多脍炙人口的作品。
So you probably want to highlight the GH in this. This word, obviously, it means write, like to write a story. But we have an old GH because this is actually a really old word and the spelling never changed from this old English. So we have this weird GH sitting in there. And 当然这个 GH 没有发音, so you highlight it and then draw a little X so you don't say
没错
yeah, don't say that.
要特别注意一下 playwright 这个后面这个地方，这个 WRIGHT，GH 的话是不发音的哦。
That's right. And the 20th century means the 1900s, the 1900s. Some people mess that up. I have to think about it sometimes, like, oh, which one is this? Let's continue. He spent most of his early years traveling with his father, who was a stage actor. Okay, so he's an actor, but not on TV, not in Hollywood, he's not in the movies, he's on stage.
没错，所以他告诉你说 he spent most of his early years traveling with his father. 他呢早年的时候常常跟这个爸爸一起到处走，到处飘。为什么呢？ Who was a stage actor? 他爸爸呢本身是舞台剧的演员，所以到他舞台剧可能要不同的巡回演出嘛，所以他就跟着爸爸到处去很多不同的国家。
Eugene O'Neill was like a handsome man. He looks like a real movie star kind of person from like the maybe like 60s, the 1960s. His father was like he was a difficult person, and Eugene O'Neill didn't really get along with his dad.
所以说今天呢，这个爸爸他本身非常非常帅，他爸爸本身舞台剧的演员，可是他跟这个父子关系，在两个人之间的父子关系其实并没有处得特别的好。
At age 7, or when he was 7 years old, he was sent to boarding school away from his family. You totally know what boarding school is because Harry Potter got sent away to the magical boarding school Hogwarts. That's a boarding school.
Yeah, 就是寄宿学校的意思。我记得那时候我去查了一下 ，Eugene O'Neill 他是1888年出生，然后到后来呢，就是在1895年的时候，他就被送到一个这个寄宿学校，因为他的话其实年纪差不多了嘛，变成是他不要再跟这个爸爸妈妈到处奔波，不然怎么上学？所以到后来7岁的时候，他就跑去寄宿学校读书了。
So board is this is weird. It means food. So why? A long time ago, you had to bring your own plates. You had to bring your own knife and spoon. The hotel or restaurant won't give you a bowl or a cup. You have to bring all this yourself because this was really expensive. So how did they give you their food? 当你上菜的时候, they used a big piece of wood, a board, and they would put it on there. And so they'd bring you your food and you put it in your bowl and then you eat it. So that's why it's called a boarding school. They put food on a big piece of wood for you.
没错，所以寄宿学校这个 boarding school 这个 board 本身的话，其实是一块木头。那如果说你有听到其他那种类似的说法，叫 room and board 啊 ，room and board 就是有提供食跟宿，宿的部分就是 room， 然后这个食物的部分就是 board。
That's right. Okay, let's continue here. He was later admitted to Princeton University, but dropped out before finishing his first year.
好，他接下来告诉你说 ，he was later admitted to， be admitted to 就是进入了什么什么，多半后面是接的是学校 ，Princeton University， 好，就是普林斯顿大学，对不对？他被录取了之后 ，but dropped out， 好，意思指的就是突然辍学了 ，before finishing his first year， 在读完第一学年之前我决定不念了这样子。
There are a lot of famous people that dropped out of really famous schools after like 1 year. I think like Bill Gates did that, right? So who else did this? A bunch of really smart and famous people. So it's like, oh, if you go to Princeton then drop out, you're going to make a lot of money. But I wonder about who's the dummy that like dropped out and did nothing. Like, who's that dummy?
应该我们不会知道，这是那个幸存者偏误哈。所以老师提到说，很多人你可能有听过，像比尔盖茨，他也是从名校，然后突然决定辍学了之后，开创了他自己的公司。然后老师就问到说，会不会有人他毅然决然离开了名校，后来也没有闯出名堂来？
Yeah, but we love to talk about the people that go to a famous school and drop out after like 6 weeks.
没错
Like they're super smart. Like who's the dummy that... Like, oh, that was a bad idea.
Wow.
All right. After that, O'Neill started what he called his real education through life experience.
好，最后呢，他就告诉你说 ，after that， 在那之后，O'Neill started what he called his real education through life experience。他就告诉你说，那欧尼尔就是透过他所谓的人生的这种经历，特别这种人生的经历，开始了他说这才叫做真正的教育。那他从这个学校辍学之后，开启了他的人生的这种学习的历程。
You know, I've heard this before. So like the first 18 years of your life is like when you're in the safe, easy area of a video game. And
right.
like, it's hard to lose. And then after 18, you start the real game, right?
Exactly.
I've heard this before. And yeah, I suppose so. There's a lot of really important things you learn after you finish school. That's true.
没错，真的是这样。就是18岁以前的话，你在一个比较容易航行的海域，然后慢慢到后面的时候， 结束了之后，开始要进入社会大学，你是真的出海了，各式各样的风浪、妖魔鬼怪，可能都有机会碰到。
All right, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we have, man, this guy has got some sad stories. Let's get ready for this. We're learning about the author of The Last Will and Testament of an extremely distinguished dog. His name is Eugene O'Neill. This guy is super famous. He wrote some really great plays, and he was always a little bit sad and dark. This is not Mr. Happy. This is not Mr. Positivity. This is not Captain Optimism. He often felt that he should have been born a seagull or a fish. Just being a person was not right. He just didn't feel this was right.
老师就说了，他其实事实上我们今天讲的这个 Eugene O'Neill， 他本身不是什么阳光先生哦，或者是说充满正能量，没有这回事。他曾经想到说，其实事实上，如果我能生成是一只海鸥或是其他的动物，自由自在的翱翔多好。身为人，实在不是我最喜欢的选项。
All right, let's read about his life experience after quitting Princeton. The following years nearly cost him his life. He nearly died.
Yeah, 所以在我们看第二段第一句话说 The following years， 接下来这几年呢 nearly cost him his life， 差点就要了他的命。
O'Neill became addicted to alcohol during his travels around the world by sea and later contracted tuberculosis.
哇，所以你看后面很困难的境遇，对不对？他说 O'Neill became addicted to alcohol。好，这个 became 或是你用 be 就 was addicted to 都可以，指的是他开始上瘾了。对什么上瘾了？酒精，染上了酒瘾了。During his travels around the world， 在环游世界的时候，不小心染上了酒瘾。好 ，travel the world by sea and later contracted tuberculosis， 好，居然后来还感染了这种肺结核。这个 contracted 这个字的意思就是感染了，后面可以接病的意思。这个字意思很多，在这边的话指的是感染了什么什么病。那后面 tuberculosis 就是当初非常也害死很多人的肺结核。
So contracted just means he got tuberculosis. So he also tried to find gold, he would go to rivers and pan for gold, like in San Francisco. So he had a bunch of really weird jobs before he's like, oh, that's right, I'm a good writer and an actor. That was always who he was. But I think maybe he was running away from it, maybe. He wasn't comfortable with this life. So tuberculosis, if your English is really good, Nita Sen Wushui is really good, you know that a potato, a sweet potato, these are called tubers. Any plant where it grows underground, we eat the part underground, like a carrot. Those are called tubers. And it literally is the word for lump. So tuberculosis is you have little lumps in your lungs.
Oh.
So tuber, it just means a lump that we would eat from the ground. It's the same word here. There's little lumps in your lungs.
没错。所以这边的话 tuber 的意思呢，其实就是那个所谓的球茎。所以你看到有种马铃薯的那个下面那个球茎，对不对？它其实是一块一块的。所以说今天想象一下，你的肺里面有非常多一块一块这种肿瘤肿块，那就是 tuberculosis 整个给你感觉的意象。
And it makes me not want to eat potatoes. When he recovered, when he got better, O'Neill decided to turn over a new leaf and started writing plays.
好，然后他就说了 when he recovered， 好，到后来呢，他就是从这个 tuberculosis 这种肺结核慢慢康复过来之后呢 ，O'Neill decided to turn over a new leaf， 意思就是指改过自新，然后翻开新的人生扉页这样的感觉 ，and started writing plays， 啊，就开始呢持续的去撰写不同的剧本了。
This leaf doesn't mean like 树叶, it doesn't mean like you turn the leaf over. 什么意思？非常正式的英文。One page, P-A-G-E, one page of your book, a long time ago was called a leaf. And sometimes you can hear somebody talk about loose leaf paper. That means you buy like a bag of paper and it's not in a notebook. It just kind of falls everywhere. That's loose leaf paper. Turn over a new leaf means like you start a new page in the book of your life.
Yeah， 没错，就是把它像你人生的篇章翻过去之后，开始写新的那种篇章一样。
很多外国人真的是树叶的意思，这是没有意思。你翻一个新的树叶什么意思？ Let's continue. Although his first efforts weren't well received, he kept improving and finally reached an extraordinary level of success.
好，所以他告诉你说 ，although his first efforts weren't well received， 这个 well received 意思就是呢，开始没有受到很多的那种好评，没有受到热烈的回响。好，刚开始他的努力，起初努力没有被看好，都可以用这种方式去表达。He kept improving， 他不断的去精进自己的这种写作的这种功力。And finally reach an extraordinary level of success. 好，最后达成这种非凡的成就。
Like super famous. This is like the world-class writer. And for a long time, people felt that Americans, if you were a European, you looked at Americans as kind of low class, that Americans could never be as good as a European. And now this is the first guy from America that is as good as or better than the best Europeans. This was very difficult, and he had to be a really special person to get to this level.
没错，那时候当初的时候，在欧洲的这些人都觉得说啊，美国文学算什么，看不起的。但是这个人对让全世界的，甚至欧洲人对于美国的文学、美国文坛改观，好，这是非常非常厉害的人物。
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we have paragraph 3. Hey friends, welcome back to Enjoy English School. We're on our final paragraph. We're learning about the legendary author Eugene O'Neill. And like I said earlier, he was a handsome man and he loved to look in mirrors. And some of his people said, like, you really love yourself too much. And if you remember, I also told you, he said he never felt right as a person. Maybe I should be a seagull or a fish. He told this person that says you love yourself so much. He says, I look in the mirror because I feel like I'm not really here. I need to see myself to make sure I'm not like disappearing like a ghost.
Wow, OK， 所以老师就说到说呢，其实刚刚前面有提到说，其实我们的这个主角 Eugene O'Neill 长得非常的帅，可是事实上他自己本身对于自己的人生也好，他没有那么喜欢，他宁愿当一只海鸥，宁愿当一条鱼。所以他今天常常有时候看着这个镜子，对不对？然后他说：“哇，你也太自恋了吧！每天看镜子是怎样？”然后他就讲说：“其实不是，我是想看看，我确认我自己。因为如果我发觉到我自己没有在看着观察自己的话，说不定我就像变成鬼一样消失了。”他是这样的状态。
Yeah, he was not a very smiley, happy person. O'Neill's writings were often inspired by his own difficult experiences.
好，我们来看这句话，他说了 O'Neill's writings， 好，他的作品呢怎么样 ？were often inspired by his own difficult experiences， 常常呢是受到自己过往这种艰苦的经历所启发的。所以他其实像之前的时候，他在海上不是他还是这个航行了非常非常久，很多他的这个写作的主题都是跟航海有关系。
So this pyre, look at the word inspired. Please pick up your highlighter. We want to highlight P-I-R. This is a Latin word relating to your breath. 你的呼吸的话. So if you die, we'll say you expired. We know some food, it goes bad. It passed its expiration date. The per here means your breath. And if you are not breathing, 你都没有呼吸的话, you are dead. So inspired means you give life. Literally, it means you blow your air into it to give it life, like CPR.
啊，没错，所以这个地方 inspire 这个字里面的 PIR 是我们的呼吸。所以说，今天如果说你针对一个作品，好，你启发了它，就变成是你给予它生命那样的感觉，把呼吸给它那种感觉。
That's right. So he's inspired to do this. So it gives him life because he's breathing with it. He was also influenced by ancient Greek tragedies and several European playwrights.
好，他就告诉你说 ，he was also influenced by。好，这个地方他提到说，到底是谁影响了他的写作？他深受启发。除了他自己过往的一些艰苦的经历之外，还有受到谁的启发呢 ？He was also influenced by ancient Greek tragedies， 还有这种古希腊悲剧啦 ，and several European playwrights， 还有一些欧洲的剧作家也影响了他的写作。
So, okay, You guys know I love to talk about word history. So tragedy is a Greek word. So 很方便 Greek tragedies. This is a Greek word. 那个E-D-I-E-S. 这个是oldies. I don't know how to say the Greek word correctly. It means song. It means song, right? So what does the first part, T-R-A-G, mean? It means goat. So tragedy is literally goat song. We don't know why tragedy means, like, why does goat song mean sad story? We don't know. We have some ideas. All of them are crazy. But when you think of a really sad story, maybe think of like a screaming sad goat. I don't know.
OK.
Right? Like me yesterday.
OK， 所以老师提到说，这个 tragedy 这个字前面的这个 T-R-A-G 的部分呢，它其实是跟山羊有关。然后后面的话，这个
It's literally goat.
就是山羊，就是山羊的意思。那后面的话是跟歌谣有关，所以说他是提到悲剧，为什么会提到是山羊的歌？好，那样子的这种概念呢？然后老师就说，可能说不定是一只羊在那边干，这样，就像昨天他的那个状况一样。
Did you ever see that video? Is it and I will always love you? Right. When she hits that part, there's this goat that hits the same note.
Oh.
So when Whitney hears this, and the goat's like That's a true goat song.
Yeah, that's really tragic.
It's a tragic video. Okay. Whitney Houston, I will always love you, goat. Go to YouTube as soon as this video ends. I promise you, it is. Wow.
Perfect. You're going to love it.
Not only did O'Neill become the first American playwright to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, but he also won 4 Pulitzer Prizes for drama and 1 Tony Award for Best Play.
哇，你看获奖无数的感觉，对不对？他说 not only 这边话特别注意一下，把 not only did 这个地方把我圈起来。如果提到 not only 的话，它有一个倒装的形态，所以就变成是 not only did O'Neill become the first American playwright to win the Nobel Prize in Literature。好，他说不止呢，他是第一个在美国第一位获奖诺贝尔文学奖的这个剧作家，还有怎么样？好 ，but he also won 4 Pulitzer Prizes for drama。好，还有得到普利兹奖4座普利兹奖戏剧奖，然后还有那个东尼奖的最佳戏剧奖，他都得了非常非常多的奖项的。
Yeah, this guy won a lot. He won 1 Pulitzer after he died for probably one of his most famous plays, Long Day's Journey into Night. It came out after he died and it won a Pulitzer. The last 10 years of his life, O'Neill had Parkinson's. He couldn't write. His hand was so bad, he couldn't write for 10 years of his life. He tried to tell people and help him write it down. Say, take his O'Neill Louis B, right? And he couldn't. And so part of his life is he had these stories and he could not get them out. And these stories, because he couldn't finish them, he asked his wife to burn them. So a lot of the last, most important works of his life, we don't have because they're gone.
所以说在最后在死的前10年的时候，他已经得了严重的帕金森氏症，他没有办法自己去写了。但是他想说，那时候也没有录音笔嘛，对不对？所以就变成是他要教人家去帮他把它写出来，可是没有办法完成的时候，发现到哇，时日无多了。他就叫他的妻子，统统帮我把这些没有完成的作品统统烧掉。所以他后面那些重要的想要写出来的作品，我们无缘有机会可以去看到这些作品，因为都被烧光了。
That's right. Celebrated as one of the greatest American playwrights, O'Neill continues to touch audiences' hearts with his work today.
好，最后一句话告诉你说 ，celebrated as one of the greatest American playwrights。这个 celebrated 就是被誉为、被看作是大家觉得说哇他好棒这样的，被誉为呢是最伟大的美国最伟大的剧作家之一呢。O'Neill continues to touch audiences' hearts。他 with his work today， 他还是用他的作品不断的去抚慰、感动观众的心。
All right, with that, we're out of time in Enjoy English School, but we will see you again in the future. For Enjoy English School, I am Chris Gorski.
I'm Antony.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.